So, welcome back to the live stream, everybody. This time, we're going to go back to the topic of global citizenship education, and I have Tiina here, who I asked to come because I had talked about yesterday as well, how I got involved slowly into the topic of global citizenship education. And one of the real starts about 2.5 years ago was when I was visiting Helsinki with other BSP coordinators. And that's when I learned that global citizenship education is nothing new in Finland. So for me, it was very new. And I thought I was like, wow, this is great. And this new transformative education. And Tiina told me then, well, it's been in our curriculum for several years now, and it's not really anything new. So that's why I asked you, Tiina, to be here. And I would just like you to introduce yourself for everybody, and tell us more about the topic global citizenship education in the national core curricula in Finland. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Yes, it's my pleasure to be here, and it's very nice to be able to present our national core curricula. It is an ongoing process in Finland to redesign the curricula at least every 10 years, but sometimes even more frequently when necessary. So I'm a project coordinator towards 2030. I'm working in projects, several projects financed by EduFi, which is the national agency for education in Finland under the ministry. So I also am an e-twinning ambassador, so that's internationalization aspect as well. And then I'm doing work with English language learning development, so in curriculum design in that area as well. But and of course, as a project coordinator in towards 2030, I'm very much involved in the Finnish Unesco ASP.NET schools network and coordinating that, and then also in the Baltic Sea project coordinator team, and that's why I met Nick in Finland in the agency when he visited the agency last 2 years ago, 2.5 years. No, more than 2 years and less than 2.5.
That's right.
In January 2019. Okay, so let's go to the curricula. So and the Finnish approach to global citizenship education and education for sustainable development. They are, of course, in our curricula. They are intertwined and connected, and and they can't really be separated from each other. I think they are sort of in. Education for sustainable development is part of global citizenship education, and global citizenship education is part of sustainable development. So they are, as I said, intertwined. The Finnish core curricula, they form a path. So from early childhood education, okay, there's one E missing, education and care, up to upper secondary general education. And so this is just the order in which the core curricula have been designed and approved. And the first one was a curriculum for basic education in 2014. Then the early childhood education and care core curriculum in 2016. And then we have actually quite a new core curriculum for upper secondary general education. And that was approved in 2019. At the end of that year, around, I think it was December or something like that. So, and it will only be implemented from next autumn term onwards. So it's on design still, because the core curricula have to go through a process of implementing them and making maybe additions in local level, communal level, and even at schools. Schools can make their own sort of they can prioritize different aspects. For example, global citizenship education, if they like. So that's there. But then, of course, the idea is the path is from early childhood education and care to basic education and to upper general education. And the idea is that the education, also the education of global citizenship and sustainable development, they start already in the early childhood in the daycare centers, and then they go to basic education, but the foundation is laid there, and they follow the path and very sort of building on what has been done in the early childhood to basic education and to upper secondary general education, in which students are from 16 to 18 or 19. So value base in Finnish core curricula is the same in each curricula. So the uniqueness of the learner, of the child or the learner, and a right to good quality education. So that's for everybody. Equality and democracy. Cultural and linguistic diversity as richness, and necessity of a sustainable way of living. And these are the values our education is based on. And also education lays the foundation, this kind of education lays the foundation for global citizenship that respects human rights and encourages the pupils to act for positive change. So there is also, it's not just the value based, but it's also the transformative aspect, which Nick mentioned, that we encourage pupils to act for positive change. So this is something that's the same in from early childhood education to the upper secondary education. In the Finnish core curricula, the global education is written into the chapters regarding the mission, and the mission of education, especially basic education, the value basis, as I said, as was mentioned before, school culture, which means that school culture supports equality, democracy, inclusion, diversity, and sustainability. So it's not only in the subjects, but it is in the way the school functions every day in its everyday functions. Yes. Global education is also in transversal competencies. We have this transversal competences, I go to these later, that are integrated in every subject that is taught. Also in cross-curricular and multi-interdisciplinary learning. This is something that is new in these curricula, that we have actually students have to have in their syllabus. They'd have to have this cross-curricular or interdisciplinary studied units and themes that are studied there, and these inclusion is very important. And then of course in the different subjects, we still have different subjects, even if somebody a few years ago said that in Finland there are no school subjects anymore, but we have very many school subjects as we had. And of course, this is sort of the idea here is the curriculum tree, that there are the values and the attitudes are at the bottom of the tree. So those make the basis of our learning in our Finnish culture. Then there is this knowledge base. Of course we need to study to get knowledge. But more and more we study to gain skills and competence. So it's more like learning skills and competencies than to find out information or learn by heart, because very often information changes very quickly, and we can also easily find information, but skills are something that need to be rehearsed. Engagement and action, that's something perhaps a bit new also, that it's in our curriculum. It's important that students they find out about things, knowledge, that's knowledge. They find out how to work, how to do things, and then they try to make a change. They find ways to act upon their knowledge and competencies. Just about the core curriculum for early childhood education and care. I'm not going to read all these things. I've just picked up things from the curriculum, which show that the basis for global citizenship education really starts from the early childhood education and care. So at the basis of the core curriculum, these are all from the curriculum there, so cited from there, so you can see them there. So there's the act on equality between women and men, so equality is there. The rights of the child are there, and UN Sustainable Development Goals, they are mentioned in the curriculum. So there are other laws and documents beside these, but I just put these here because these are, I think, very strongly part of global citizenship education. They also say, this is a citation from the early childhood education and care core curriculum, that the foundation of it for ecosocial knowledge and ability, allowing people to understand ecological sustainability as the precondition for social sustainability and the realization of human rights. So it says about ecological sustainability, social sustainability, and human rights, which are at the bottom there, which make the basis. Let me see. Okay, and then these transversal competencies, they are a bit different, of course, depending on the level of education. So they are a bit different in the early childhood education, but in a very clear way, they are also similar. So here you can see that there are 5 of them at this stage. Their thinking and learning is learning to think and learning to learn. These are the things that you can find also later. Participation already, it's important that the children in the care can participate in making decisions of their own life and in their own learning. And cultural competence is very important. Interaction and self-expression for making the basis for the new competencies. About cultural competencies, it says that the children are growing up in culturally, linguistically, and ideologically diverse world. This puts emphasis on the significance of social and interaction skills as well as cultural competence. So these kind of things, I think, are there at the basis of global citizenship education. So they are the very core of that. So without these kind of skills, you can't actually grow to be a responsible global citizen. So you have to be able to participate, and you have to be able to interact and so on. And active responsibility, active and responsible participation and involvement create a foundation for democratic and sustainable future. That's also, these are straight from the curriculum for the very young ones, for the under preschool age children. And then let's go to basic education and transversal competencies there. And they also cover some key elements of the global citizenship. And you can see here, this is OECD's picture, but the idea of having their knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, as we had in our curriculum tree, and to create competencies, and then which end in action for a better life. And I think that's also a very important key factor in global citizenship education, that it is, as Nick said, transformative. It helps us to enables us to take action for a better life. And the transversal competencies here also intercultural competence, interaction, and presenting, being very important for global citizenship education. And then we have participation, influence, and building a sustainable future. These, of course, are very strongly connected to global citizenship education. Growth in the center, as you can see, in the center of this whole thing, growth as human and citizen. So we grow active citizens. This is and this is something we have definitely put in our curricula. These are also some citations from the basic education core curriculum, and I think there are some things I would like to say. For example, here that the respect for cultural diversity we find very, very important at these days, and this is, I think, something that is part of global citizenship education, that you can learn to live in a culturally and linguistically diverse societies anywhere in the world, and get along with people. It also says that basic education lays the foundation for global citizenship that respects human rights and encourages the pupils to act for positive change. So the same thing I've said before, but it's just here a straight line from our curriculum. So if I said, Nick, that it is there, so now you can see the proof. It was not just that I think it's there, or I feel, I hope it's there, and I can see it there, but it's really written down, and it is there. There you can see.
I always believed you though, Tiina. So.
Okay. I think during this seminar you will be talking a lot about ecological sustainability and education for sustainable development. So I don't I'm not going to put it too much stress on that here, but in our Finnish core curriculum that is also there, and I think it is important for us to understand that we can't educate anyone if we don't take this kind of standing for sustainable development very strong. And I think this is what Europe is doing, and all the countries in Europe are at the moment trying to stop for example, the global warmth. So climate warming. But I have put one sentence here which I like to read to you. So to foster the inviolability of human dignity and the diversity and ability for renewal of ecosystems while building a competence base for a circular economy underpinned by sustainable use of natural sources. So I took this because I thought that maybe you were talking about circular economy before, and we have that also in our curriculum. So it has been, I think, if you think that this was written in 2014, actually between 2012 and 2014, so it was in a way taking a very courageous steps towards something that today is almost obvious, but 8 years ago it wasn't that obvious, and we felt that this was actually transforming education, and of course when this core curriculum was approved, then it took 2 years. 2016 we started to implement it in the school education, and of course it wasn't like that everybody started to use it. It is a process, and my last slide is about that. But yeah. Is there something you want to ask? Of course. Yeah.
There is. I was looking like I wanted to ask something, right?
Yeah.
And so circular economy, like this is even for me, it's a new word. This wasn't mainstream. It's become maybe mainstream in the last 1 or 2 years. And so my question is, where does this come from? Who is bringing this into the curriculum 2014? Who are these people, these experts? Where is this coming from?
Yeah, well, actually, we had, she's now retired, Liisa Jääskeläinen, and also Paula Mattila, who's now retired, and they both worked a lot in this value basis and school culture part of which was the general part of the curriculum, which is not the subject content. And but the very interesting thing is that our process in curriculum design in Finland is that there is this basic text that is created, and then it's published. And this is interesting that usually nobody publishes anything until it's the final, but and they don't want to show that I'm perhaps not totally perfect person when writing this, but it's published, and people have and people are encouraged to comment and give ideas how to develop it. So teachers in and communities and municipalities, different kinds of people, even parents can give these ideas. NGOs, they have this of course they do lobbying anyway, so it's their duty to put things. If they are working, for example, in circular economy, they will absolutely put it here. So we get a lot of comments because, as in the European Union, we feel that it's important that children are raised in a according to a curriculum that is really very well thought over, and it covers the most important. So the process is very important. For example, I wrote lots of texts and said that I think this and this and this should be included, and some of them, my comments were actually included, and I can find my own words and sentences in, especially in the internationalization of education parts. But I'm not an expert in circular economy, but I'm sure there doesn't have to be anyone in the agency, because some of these have come from NGOs and universities and so on. So anyone can comment on these who find that these are important.
It's a lot of times when people start talking about education, and at some point there's always, well, look at Finland, look at what Finland's doing, and and look what they have maybe in their curriculum. And I'm asking myself now, should we be looking at Finland's curriculum, or should we be looking at the process behind the curriculum? Because it's this agile, so it feels agile the way you talk about it, and other I know in Germany it's always, they're a smaller country, it's always like the same thing, we're such a big country. It's like a standard thing to say, and I think, well, maybe there's some truth, but it's not because you have a lot of people, it's because Germany's process probably isn't as agile as in Finland, for instance.
And as open and democratic. I think this is a very democratic. This kind of it doesn't mean that it's voted somewhere that you vote of the curriculum. It is professionals who then put it together, but you can take part, and the idea is that and you find the best knowledge from the society by opening it to public ideas and scrutiny and things like that. So I feel it's important, and of course later on I will talk about it, that it's also, we feel that it's, when you think of implementing the curriculum, it's not just that you can ask for the teachers to be ready for implementing it this minute, but even that is seen as a process where you are learning and learning from each other and so on. So it's so process before the curriculum is actually sort of ready to be put into practice, and then process in the implementation part as well. This was something I was very proud of, was that we have UN development goals already in 2014. They were just so it's something that we've been working a lot with, the global goals, and as they are actually mentioned in the curriculum, I think it's important for so that it sort of legitimizes what we're doing all the time. So they are not perhaps in the school books, but our textbooks, but they are in the curriculum. Then just a few is it okay? Now my half an hour is now finished, but is there somebody coming, or can I spend the 15 minutes still?
We can definitely take 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. So perhaps this doesn't take so much. It's just giving an idea about the core curriculum for upper secondary general education, because of course this is the newest, and as I said, it was approved at the end of 2019, so it's only 1.5 years old text, the core curriculum. So here you can see so the development of thought between 2014 and 2019, in 5 years, global citizenship education has become more and more sort of integrated part in our learning, and I found actually 20 mentions of global citizenship education in the upper secondary curriculum. So it's there deep, and it's in the basic values. So our sort of basic aim is to guide students towards growing into global citizens. It says here. So global citizens is what we are trying to grow. And then the engagement in international cooperation, so that it's that's part of the curriculum for upper secondary. So international cooperation, that's even in the law of secondary education. So there is a law guiding dealing with secondary general education, and the international cooperation, engagement in international activities is even in the law. So that's law. Even this is also a norm, but there is a law, separate law for that. But global citizenship, in keeping with the UN's 2030 agenda for sustainable development. So these are very explicitly here. So it's not nothing you have to sort of interpret between the lines. They're very explicitly, and then there are these models for school subjects, and there were lots of mentions there. So basically, even maybe the same text appearing in several descriptions of models in different subjects. So global citizens who have knowledge, skills, and will needed to participate in discussions on global environmental issues, for example. And then the objective is that the students gain the ability to operate as active global citizens who speak out and promote a sustainable future. So very strong, I think, very strong standing here for sustainable future and for global citizenship education.
We have one question here from one of the watchers right now. Is there a possibility to read your full curriculum? Is it published online somewhere? Unfortunately, well, it is published, but it is you have to pay for it. So this is, I think this is, I've got these. These are actually, the citations are from the online version. So there are online versions, PDFs versions of these, but they are not as a whole. They're not available as a whole. You have to pay, I think it's about 20 euros to be able to get the PDF for yourself. So sorry. I got this because I work for the agency, but but you can. I don't know if Nick, there is
some place where you put the materials, or because I can share this presentation where there are these citations. So
that would be wonderful. In fact, that I need to kind of think about that and ask for some of the presentations from everybody who is presenting, and then kind of put that in one spot for everybody. So that would be wonderful. I'll get back to you about that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put this in a SlideShare anyway. So SlideShare is a very free and easy way to put on PDF presentations. So just
wonderful.
Yeah, so I can send you the link. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because these are really something that you could perhaps use when you are redesigning your curriculum in your own country and thinking of these different aspects. And you can see that here is the UN's Agenda 2030, and especially its goal 4.7, which is about global citizenship education and education for sustainable development. So the UNESCO Aspen School strategy sort of thing at the bottom. So describing the characteristics of global citizenship. So these are from the core curriculum, straight text there. Just very interesting things. Transversal competencies also in upper secondary education. Again, there is a UN's agenda, so you can see that if in basic education, the core curriculum of basic education, the UN's global goals were just mentioned once. In the upper secondary, now after 5 years, the UN's 2030 agenda is mentioned several times. So it's built in the transversal competencies and in the base value basis and in the school culture and so on. Just a second here. So this is a picture of the transversal competencies in upper secondary school. So there are also 6 of them, like in basic education, but these are a bit more complicated, further taken, and so they assume that person when he's 16, 17, 18, and so on, their personality is more complex and has more depth, and so do these transversal competencies as well. But very important empathy, global citizens' disposition, appreciation of cultural heritage and understanding cultural diversity and cultural meanings, sense of responsibility for the planet, climate change expertise, circular economy and sustainable consumerism, so on, societal competence, ethical disposition, democracy competence, and so on. So these are almost all in global education, global citizenship education sort of contents in our upper secondary general education curriculum. And then there are, of course, languages. Let's go further. And social studies also. 2 minutes left. So this is the slide which I like to add here, because about the implementation of the core curriculum. The new way of seeing it is that its curriculum can be considered a process, not a product. So it is, I think this process, this idea of process is something that appeals to me very much. A curriculum is showing the way and the how, not what. So the content is different in that way as well, because if we think about our curricula 20 years ago, it was just a list of what we should learn, long lists of things, and now it's more like a way and the how, and also that it is flexible and developing. So we and not stagnant. So we don't think that it's there and it will remain there and for 10 years and then we change it again, but we're sort of building the new curriculum. We are redesigning the curricula all the time when we're implementing it. So it's like a process of the implementation is also a redesigning curricula at the same time. And okay, these are our important partners, but maybe this is something that started all this G in Global Education Network Europe, and this is something that was it's part of the European Council of Europe. So this is which also is the value police of Europe. So, and global education is education that opens people's eyes and minds to the realities of the world and awakens them to bring about a world of greater justice, equity, and human rights for all. And I think that's a good way to stop here for this. 20 years ago that was written, and it still, I think, comprises the thing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a good sentence to end with, because we see pretty much this sentence in whether it's UNESCO or OECD or Finnish curriculum and everything. And so 20 years ago, I think this kind of awakens them to kind of somehow, bring about this world. I think that's kind of become more like very like learner centered, where now 20 years later, they're like, okay, it's enabling them to act, to really, take responsibility. That's maybe the small little development, but all of it's already there, of course. So yeah, thank you very much. I just kind of thinking about how curriculum is being developed now in Germany, and that we're just starting now to see it in kind of a curricular reform in the sense of education for sustainable development is more of than what's found in Germany. And the States are just around, they're just getting to some of the things that I saw in 2014. So it's the agility that's definitely lacking there when I consider kind of the reform in Germany. Yeah, thank you very much. We need to get on to our next speaker in 2 more minutes, so we will end it here. One last thank you from me, Tiina, and yeah, take care.
Yeah, thanks. It was my pleasure. It was great to be here, and I'm very proud of our curricula, and you can contact me if you want to know more, and perhaps and I hope Nika, you will find a place where we can share the presentations.
Yes, definitely. I think there'll be some interest in that for sure. Okay, wonderful. All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.